The reason the rich pretend to be poor, you should, too. Have you ever noticed that the truly rich never look rich? They drive regular cars, wear simple clothes, and live in houses that don't scream for attention. Meanwhile, the people barely getting by often look like they're winning. New car, designer sneakers, luxury vacations on credit. It looks like success until you peek behind the curtain. Here's the truth nobody likes to talk about. Real wealth whispers, fake wealth shouts. Because the secret to getting rich and staying rich is learning to look poor while you quietly build power. The illusion of wealth. We live in a time when wealth isn't about what you own anymore. It's about what you show. Social media made luxury a language. But here's the problem. When you play the game of appearances, you're building your image, not your assets. The rich figured that out decades ago. They realized that the louder you look, the more people want what you have, and that's dangerous, not just socially, but financially. So they built a different playbook, one that keeps attention off their money and the leverage firmly in their hands. The power of understatement. Warren Buffett still lives in the same house he bought in 1958. Mark Zuckerberg drives a Honda. Ingvar Kamprad, the founder of IKEA, flew economy until the day he died. Are they frugal? Maybe. But it's deeper than that. It's strategic camouflage. Because when you look average, you move freely. No one's watching your every move, asking for favors, or raising prices because they assume you can afford more. Looking poor gives the rich what money can't usually buy: freedom. How the poor looking rich win. When you look broke, 3 things happen. 1. You lower expectations. No one pressures you to prove yourself through spending. 2. You gain negotiation power. People offer better deals when they assume you're cost sensitive. 3. You avoid lifestyle inflation. The less you show, the less you feel the need to keep up. Meanwhile, everyone chasing status gets trapped in the opposite cycle, earning more, spending more, saving less. They confuse appearing successful with becoming secure. That's how people making 6 figures end up broke. The psychology of camouflage. There's a reason this works. It's called the invisibility advantage. The human brain equates visibility with vulnerability. If people can see what you have, they can target it. But if they can't tell, you're safe. That's why the wealthiest people prefer anonymity over applause. Because anonymity protects opportunity. They don't want followers. They want options. They don't want envy. They want leverage. And you can start building the same thing within without needing millions. Step 1. Detach status from spending. The first shift is mental. You must separate status from spending. Most people buy to feel seen. The rich buy to feel secure. If you can train yourself to feel powerful without a purchase, you've already beaten 90% of consumers. That's why the richest people I've ever met talk more about cash flow than cars. Because they know possessions are liabilities disguised as trophies. You don't win by collecting toys. You win by collecting freedom. Step 2. Play the long game. The fake rich chase validation in weeks. The real rich build wealth in decades. Every dollar they don't spend becomes a soldier. Out there working, multiplying, defending their future. Looking poor is their armor. It protects them from the disease of instant gratification. Because wealth doesn't come from one big win. It comes from thousands of small, boring, consistent choices. Skipping the luxury watch. Driving the older car. Investing the difference. It's not glamorous, but it's undefeated. The trap of looking successful. There's a reason most lottery winners end up broke. They try to buy status before they build systems. They confuse attention for admiration, and admiration for safety. But attention fades fast, and safety can't be purchased. It has to be built, so the rich hide. Not because they're stingy, but because they're smart enough to know that visibility kills discipline. The more people watching, the more pressure to perform. The more pressure to perform, the easier it is to make dumb decisions. When you look rich, you're performing for others. When you look poor, you're performing for yourself. The quiet compounding of the invisible. Here's what most don't realize. Compounding doesn't just apply to money. It applies to habits. Every time you skip a flashy expense, you're adding fuel to your future. Every time you choose assets over appearances, you widen the gap between you and everyone still pretending. At first, no one notices, but 10 years later, they're still paying off debt, and you're earning dividends. Because pretending to be poor isn't about deception. It's about direction. You're redirecting energy from looking rich to becoming rich. Step 3, learn to love being underestimated. This might be the most powerful mindset of all. When people underestimate you, you gain leverage. They reveal their strategies, their insecurities, their blind spots, because they don't see you as competition. Meanwhile, you're studying, compounding, positioning. Then, one day, they wake up wondering how you got so lucky. But luck is what preparation looks like from the outside. The rich pretend to be poor because they understand one truth. Power is quiet until it's ready to strike. The ego detox. The hardest part of this shift is ego. Because we've been trained to measure our worth by what we can show. It takes strength to walk away from validation. It takes patience to let your results speak 10 years later. But every time you choose discipline over display, you buy back a little more of your freedom. And that's the trade the rich keep making, over and over again. There's a phrase whispered among old money families. The moment people see your wealth, you've already lost it. At first, that sounds strange. Why hide success? Why downplay achievement? Because the more visible your wealth becomes, the less control you actually have over it. You lose privacy, you lose leverage, and you start living for appearances instead of results. That's why stealth wealth isn't just humility. It's a strategy. The rich pretend to be poor because they understand that the second you start performing wealth, you stop building it. The freedom of low expectations. When you live modestly, no one expects you to spend. You can walk into any situation, a deal, a dinner, a negotiation, and no one tries to upsell you, but show up looking rich, and suddenly everything costs more. You're not a person anymore. You're a target. That's why stealth wealth is like financial jujitsu. You use perception as protection, because the less people know about what you have, the less they can take from you. In price, pressure, or peace. The stealth wealth habits. So, what does pretending to be poor actually look like in real life? It's not about faking struggle. It's about redirecting attention, away from consumption toward control. Here's how the quietly rich operate. 1. They buy quality, not branding. Their shoes last 10 years, their cars last 15, but none of it screams status. 2. They use cash flow as a scoreboard. They measure success by how much freedom their money produces, not how much envy it buys. 3. They separate income from lifestyle. When their earnings rise, their expenses don't. That gap, the invisible margin, is what creates exponential growth. 4. They talk less, observe more. While others brag about deals, they're studying patterns. Quiet people hear everything. Loud people reveal everything. These habits build something no luxury item can: control over time. The hidden math behind looking poor. Every dollar you don't spend on showing off can be invested in buying back your freedom. Let's do some simple math. Say you skip the $70,000 luxury SUV and buy a $25,000 used car instead. You invest the $45,000 difference at 8% for 15 years. That one decision, just one, grows to nearly $140,000. Now multiply that by 10 years of similar decisions. That's not being cheap, that's strategic wealth transfer. From ego to equity. The rich understand that wealth is a long game played through quiet moves. It's a chess match, not a fireworks show. The luxury of simplicity. At some point, every rich person discovers the same truth. The less you need, the richer you become. When your happiness isn't tied to consumption, your money starts compounding faster than your desires. That's when real wealth begins. Because wealth isn't how much you spend, it's how long you can live without needing to impress anyone. The goal isn't to look rich. The goal is to never need permission again. How the rich hide in plain sight, old money figured this out long before social media. They live in good neighborhoods, but not the biggest houses. They drive cars that blend in, wear watches that don't glimmer, and keep their names off company boards. They don't want headlines. They want control. They know fame attracts regulation, criticism, and lawsuits. Privacy attracts peace. That's why when you meet someone who truly has power, they often seem ordinary, because power that hides can't be attacked, and wealth that whispers can't be taxed by temptation. Why you should copy this strategy. You might not have millions or yet, but you can start thinking like someone who does. Start treating attention as a liability, not an asset. Start building wealth quietly, like a spy in plain sight. Drive what makes sense. Dress for comfort, not approval. Invest automatically, talk strategically, and disappear financially from social comparison. Because pretending to be poor doesn't make you weak. It makes you unpredictable. And in a world obsessed with appearances, invisibility is the ultimate competitive edge. The compound advantage of privacy. Here's the thing about privacy. It compounds just like money. The longer you stay off the radar, the more your assets, confidence, and power grow unnoticed. By the time the world notices, it's too late for them to catch up. You'll have already built your foundation, while they were still chasing validation. That's why the rich aren't hiding. They're compounding in peace. The silent confidence of true wealth. Fake wealth screams because it's insecure. Real wealth whispers because it doesn't need validation. It's the quiet confidence of knowing that you could buy it. You just don't need to. That restraint is rare. That calm is power. And the people who master it, they're untouchable. Because once you stop performing for others, you start performing for your future. Here's the final layer of the secret. Pretending to be poor isn't just a mindset. It's an inheritance strategy. The families that stay rich for generations don't pass down money, they pass down discipline. They teach their children not how to spend wealth, but how to survive it. Because money without humility disappears, and humility without money multiplies. The real legacy of the rich is self-control. That's the trait they protect most, and they do it by disguising abundance as normalcy. The 3 rules of stealth wealth psychology. Rule 1. Never signal strength. The more powerful you are, the more valuable it is to look ordinary. That's how you stay underestimated, unbothered, and unbeatable. Rule 2. Delay display. Every major purchase should follow one principle. If it won't change your net worth, don't buy it. If it will slow your compounding, delay it. Because the rich don't ask, can I afford this? They ask, will this slow my freedom? Rule 3. Hide your leverage. The wealthiest people on earth don't talk about their income streams. They don't post their portfolio. They build in silence because they know leverage grows faster when nobody's watching. Visibility invites imitation. Imitation breeds competition. Competition erases advantage. So, they protect their edge with silence. The paradox of true wealth. Here's the paradox the world doesn't understand. When you stop chasing the image of wealth, wealth starts chasing you. The rich pretend to be poor not because they have to, but because it keeps their focus sharp, their risks low, and their compounding undisturbed. They trade applause for autonomy, status for strategy, noise for ownership. And every time someone laughs at their cheap car or boring lifestyle, they smile because they know something the world forgot. The loudest people are rarely the most powerful, the final lesson. So if you take one thing from this, let it be this. You don't need to look successful to be successful. You don't need to prove your progress to anyone. Let your humility be your camouflage. Let your bank account, not your wardrobe, do the talking. And let your silence be the sound of your empire growing. Because someday, when you've built enough to walk away from the noise, you'll look back and realize, pretending to be poor wasn't deception. It was defense. A defense against ego. A defense against distraction. A defense against everything that keeps ordinary people broke. So start small, spend quietly. Build loudly, but only where it counts. Because when you master the art of looking poor, you're not hiding weakness. You're hiding power. And power, when hidden long enough, becomes unstoppable.